Hello and welcome to the 87th episode of the Sock Bunny Knit and Fit video podcast. My name is Kimberly, also known as Sock Bunny, and today is Sunday, June 16th, 2013. I'm recording in sunny Florida in the United States of America. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you are a new viewer, especially thank you for joining. I hope you like what you see and that you will come back. I am Sock Bunny pretty much everywhere on the internet, such as MyFitnessPal, Ravelry, Plurk, Instagram, Google+, Twitter, iTunes, YouTube, and Blip.tv. The blog is at sockbunnyknitandfit.blogspot.com. The email address is sockbunnyknitandfit@gmail.com. The Etsy shop is sockbunnystudios.etsy.com, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/sockbunnystudios. What are we going to talk about today? I have decided to mix up the order of things. I have been doing things the same order probably for over a year, so I think it's time for a change. So the topics are going to be in a different order, and it will probably feel weird, but hopefully it'll give some new life to the podcast. So today's topics are going to be Sockstravaganza, finished objects and works in progress, book review, what I am watching and reading, knit and crochet alongs, stash enhancement, favorite things, Ask Sock Bunny, which is a new segment, tips and tricks, and fitness at the end. I am having an allergy day again today. Yay! So there will be some sniffling and some nose wiping, and I apologize. You might want to close your eyes during the nose wiping parts. Today's shop update happened earlier today at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and I wanted to show you what I have. I have started dyeing sweater lots of yarn, and this is the preliminary introductory run. I did 4 sweater lots. Before I show them, I want to say that I chose to do 5 skeins of yarn in each sweater lot. If you need more than 5 skeins or less than 5 skeins, I am more than happy to do a custom order for you. That is no problem. Just let me know what you want and I can do it. I just tried to pick a number where a lot of people would be able to use it, but I understand that there's no one size fits all in knitting. So again, if you need fewer than 5 or more than 5 skeins, definitely let me know. Anything that you see here, if it's already sold out by the time you get to the shop, I could definitely duplicate it, or any of my colorways that I've done that you've ever seen, or even if it's a new colorway you want me to invent for you, I could do that. So I did 2 sweater lots worth of, whoa, that's pretty. This is my Sugar DK, which is a superwash merino, and if you've watched before, you know that this is the colorway that I'm doing my current sweater in. It's a tonal. It is kettle dyed, and so each skein is a little bit different than next. So I recommend that you alternate skeins when you use kettle dyed yarns, not just mine. And so there are 5 skeins in this lot and 5 skeins in the other lot. So there are 2 sweater lots of the Whoa, That's Pretty. And then we also have a new colorway called Somebody Loves You. And this was named in honor of my bunny, John John. It's a little bit tiny bit darker than what you're seeing here, but there are 5 skeins of this. And again, it's a tonal colorway, kettle dyed, and again, a little bit darker than what you're seeing there. So this is Somebody Loves You. And there will be labels on these and all that jazz. I just wanted to be able to show them clearly on here. And then the last lot, the 4th lot, is Florida Flamingos! Yay! I love this one. I'm going to definitely have to do myself a sweater in this colorway. So those are currently in the shop, and like I said, if they sell out and you want them, let me know and I can definitely dye some up for you. Each skein has 230 yards in it, so the 5 skeins adds up to 1,150 yards of a DK weight. So based on what you need for your size, you can let me know if you need something more or less. So the shop update was today. There will not be a shop update next Sunday. I will be driving to Atlanta next Sunday. So my next podcast will, fingers crossed, be next Saturday in the midst of packing and craziness. Next Sunday, the 23rd, I'm leaving to go to Atlanta for a week, so the shop will be closed during the days that I am gone, and I'll reopen it when I get back. So the next shop update will be the 30th of June, and I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Yep, I think that's all I want to say about that. So, uh, like I said, we're doing things in a little bit different order today, so it's going to seem a little odd if you're used to my normal way of doing things, but you know, variety is the spice of life. So, first thing we're going to talk about is Sockstravaganza. If you're a new viewer, Sockstravaganza is a 3-month sock madness knit along that I am doing in the Sock Bunny group. And any pair of socks that you have that is less than 50% done or 50% or less done on June 1st, you can enter into this contest. It needs to be adult socks, and there are several threads that you can enter your finished pair of socks into. There's a general thread where all the socks go. There are also other threads called Design Your Own Socks, Self-Striping Yarn, Lace, Vanilla, Colorwork, Socks Knit with Sock Bunny Studios, Pictures of Socks Being Knit in Public, and Socks from a Book. And I have to wipe my nose, sorry. So, make sure when you take your picture that you include both socks in the picture, and I need to be able to tell that the socks are finished. So I need to be able to see the entire sock, basically. Um, the knit along will end August 31st, 2013. Feel free to chatter in the chatter thread. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments or anything like that. If you want to use a project tag, use the tag Sockstravaganza. The people that have donated so far are, well, let me say before I say who they are, there is a thread in the Sock Bunny group called Sockstravaganza Prize Thread. It has pictures of all the different things that have been donated. But we have some project bags from Judy Lee 59 Knits, some project bags from Unique Designs on Big Cartel, several skeins of sock yarn donated by me. A pattern is being donated from Deborah Tomasello. A pattern is being donated by Retro Lemon. A secret prize is going to be donated by Lemknit Crochet. A pattern is being donated by Java Pearl. A pattern is being donated by Blooming Knitter. 3 skeins of sock yarn from 4 Kitties Have I. 3 skeins of sock yarn from DC Knitter, and I know there's a couple of other things on their way. So there's lots of prizes. So knit those socks like crazy and enter them. You can enter your socks in as many threads as apply. So for example, the example I use is my Star Trek socks, which you will see shortly. Those can go into the lace thread, the self-striping thread, the socks from a book thread, and the general thread. So I have 4 chances. If I was eligible for prizes, I would have 4 chances to win with 1 pair of socks. So strategize and try to win. Let's move right into knitting. Finished objects. I have none, unless you count a sock as a finished object, which I will show you shortly. I have been making a tiny bit of progress on my Tappan Zee sweater. This is a free pattern from knitty.com, which is a online knitting magazine. The pattern is called Tappan Zee. I am knitting this out of my very own Sock Bunny Studios sock yarn and sugar DK weight. And I'll show you how much progress I made. This is the bottom of the sweater. This is where I was. This is where I am. Not much progress. I know I should be done by now. I really want to finish this week. This is the back. And I have modified it. There's a second row of diamonds in the regular pattern, but I left those out. This is the back. This is the front. And I only have, oh gosh, like a dozen rows until I'm done. A dozen rows to knit in the bind off. So there's no reason not to have this done this week. I just need to make it a priority. So you can see down in the bottom corner here at the front, it does the, just down at the bottom on the front, once on each side, it repeats the diamond pattern, and then you have a little bit of garter stitch at the bottom. You're not going to be able to see it probably. The diamond pattern has started at the bottom. There we go, sort of. I am knitting these on my square Knitter's Pride needles, and I Love these. I have found though that I have to go up a needle size. So like say this pattern called for a 6, which it did, I'm using a 7 because for some reason my gauge, that's how it is with all the square needles. So be warned if you are thinking about using square needles, make sure you check your gauge carefully with those. Like for example, I normally knit socks in a 1, but I have to use 2 in the square needles to get the same gauge. So just be aware of that. Your mileage may vary. So again, that is Tappan Z from Nitty.com, and I love it. I can't wait to finish it. There's no reason I can't finish it this week. Whether buttons will be done or not, I don't know. But there's no reason I can't finish the knitting this week. So that is the Tappan Z. I have 4 pairs of socks that I worked on this week. I have 9 pairs total on the needles. Yes, I know, I'm crazy. So my first pair of socks, I did finish the first sock in this pair. And I spent way too much time on these socks, which I will explain. So these are my Time Traveler socks. This is Knit Picks Felici in the Time Traveler colorway. So I had these socks completely done, including the toe and the heel. And I had used the Knit Picks Felici through the whole sock. And I thought when I finished, it looked sort of boring. I think Jenna from Retro Lemon ruined these socks for me. Yeah, I'm blaming you. No, I'm kidding. She had done her cuff and her heel and her toe in a contrasting color, and I really liked how it looked. She did hers in green. So after I finished mine, it looks sort of boring. I know, I'm purposefully not showing you the toe or the heel. So I finished it completely, and then 5 minutes later, cut the heel out and ripped out the toe. It's an afterthought heel, so I could do that. See, that's the advantage of an afterthought heel. This is what it looks like. Boring! So what I did is I replaced it! I used some black sparkly yarn that I had dyed on my sunshine base. And I did that for the toe and the heel. And it looks much better! Trust me, it looks much better. I meant to take a before and after shot, and I totally forgot. So the first sock is done! Yay! And I am super happy with it now that I replaced the toe and the heel, and that's all that really matters. But the funny thing is when I did the heel, I picked up, it's an afterthought heel, so I had picked up the stitches, and I did a few rounds, and there was like a gap, and I'm like, what in the heck? So I pulled it out, redid it, I still had the gap, I'm like, ah! You know, like a few hours of knitting goes by, and I still don't have a heel, and then I rip it out again, and I realize, oh, I dropped a few stitches. So, note to self, if you have a gap, it's probably because you dropped stitches. So I picked it up again and knit the whole thing, and then I ended up cutting it out. So I started this heel 4 times, but it's done, and I'm happy with it. That's all that really matters in the end. Long, long time spent on one sock. The second one has to go smoother. Oh, I just jinxed myself. So anyway, I love it. Love, love, love. And that is in my pink Dalek bag from Tangerine Designs, which is tangerine8.etsy.com is where her site is. I love this bag. Love it. You know I love the Daleks. All right. And if you're new and you don't know who the Daleks are, it's a Doctor Who reference, and they are Doctor Who's mortal enemies. Next one is in my Spaceman bag, which is from knitrundig.etsy.com. And in here I have, oh my god, did you see me jump? It's a piece of fluff, but I thought it was a bug. Okay, I just had my heart attack for the day. I can't wait to rewatch that. That's going to be funny. Alrighty. I've had some caffeine, can you tell? Okay, so these are my Star Trekkie socks. This yarn is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Ta-da! Last time you saw these, I was on the gusset decreases, so I was here on this black stripe right here. And I got, maybe an inch and a half done on them. I love them. This is the Ridged Feather pattern from Sensational Knitted Socks. And don't you love what it does to the striping yarn? And it's sparkly. And they're Star Trek, and I love them! These are my favorites. A lot of favorites, but I love these socks. I can't wait to finish them. When I go to Atlanta next week, I'm probably going to take mostly vanilla socks, but if I don't finish this sock before I leave to go there, I'll probably take this with me to at least finish the foot while I'm there. And then I can wear my Doctor Who sock on one foot and my Star Trek sock on the other foot. What a geek. Anyway, so that's Fiber Knit Dye Works in the Star Trekky colorway. That's number 2. And then number 3, oh, they're over here. I have it in my Knitables podcast bag. This is a pair of socks called Hydrangea from the Eclectic Soul, which is a book I'm going to do for my book review. I am knitting these on DPNs, and it's going to be sort of hard to tell because they're lace, but once I have a sock blocker on, you'll be able to tell the lace better. This is in my Rhymes with Pink colorway. And this doesn't look you can't really tell what's going on. But if I show it to you in the book, maybe you'll get an idea. I'm almost done with the lace panel at the top. This sock has a lace panel at the top. So I'm about 3 rows from being done with that, and then you start into the ribbing that goes down the rest of the foot. So it's a very enjoyable knit. There are no rest rows. This is all lace at the top. So if you're a new sock knitter, I recommend using lifelines, because I've already messed up a few times, and I'm not very good at fixing lace. If I make a mistake in lace, I sort of have to rip back, so just a little note there. I am knitting these on my Knitter's Pride double pointed needles. Next week, I am going to talk about why I choose needles that I do, because that's a topic that Paula PJ Crossan asked in the for my last week tip of the week. Blah, I spit it out. So next week I'll talk about why I choose the needles that I choose. And that is pair number 3. And then pair number 4 is in my bag that Flibberty Gibbet Bunny gave me, my Halloween bag. This pair you haven't seen yet. This was my 9th pair that got cast on. And these are some bobble socks, as I call them. They have bobbles on them. It's sort of hard to tell. Let me see how I hold them. Can you tell there's bobbles? Let me move this. Wait, let me try this. See, there's a row of bobbles there, and there's one right there, although it's very hard to tell. There we go. So this is my very own Janie MCN base, Merino Cashmere Nylon base in the Greyhounds on the Beach colorway. It's a variegated. I really recommend this pattern for variegated yarn because it breaks up the variegation. This is from a book called Socks a la Carte, which is a book, I've shown it before and I'm going to review it in an upcoming episode. It's a book where they give you various ribbings and then various cuffs. Hi, Rachel. Rachel, you want to come be on the podcast?
I'm exhausted right now.
Oh, do you want me to tell them what you've been doing all day? Rachel got a job! She got a job at our favorite place in the whole world, Busch Gardens, working in food services. So she's probably been on her feet all day. She's been on her feet since 7 in the morning, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, here's the tiniest violin in the world playing you a song. Oh, I'm getting the look.
Outside too, so don't use it.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I've never worked before.
Not outside of Busch Gardens.
I've never worked.
Whatever.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what
Anyways,
that's like.
I'm gonna go take a shower, do my homework, and then crash. So
Okay.
I won't see you until tomorrow.
All right, bye.
I'm not working tomorrow.
Bye. Teenagers. Anyway. Sorry about that interruption. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, it's from Socks a la Carte, and they give you different ribs different cuffs, different heels, different toes, and you can mix and match them. So it's sort of like a recipe book, and I will review that in an upcoming episode. So that is Greyhounds on the Beach. And the pattern that I chose for the bobble part, if you have that book and you want to know, is bobble bands from Sock a la carte. So those are my 4 pairs of socks that I worked on this week. Crazy. Like I said, when I go to Atlanta, I'm probably going to take just vanilla socks with me because, you know, I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of walking around and sightseeing, which is a perfect time to knit some vanilla socks. Okay. Oh, where's my list of what we're doing? Here we go. So, next. Oh, book review. The Eclectic Soul. What a coinkydink. So here we go. This is the Eclectic Soul from Janelle Laidman. I know she has at least one other sock book that I know of. I love this book. It's one of my favorites. I love the photography in it. I love the colors that they used for the socks. I just love everything about it. This is not an instructional book. So if you don't know how to knit socks, I would not recommend this as your first book. This is for somebody who already knows how to knit socks. Let me just put it that way. But I love the patterns in here. And the pattern I'm doing, Hydrangea, is one I've wanted to knit for actually a couple of years out of here. So I'm glad I'm finally getting to it. So there really is no instruction in here on how to knit socks. I mean, yes, they show you like in the back like how to do a yarn over and stuff like that, but it's, like I said, it's not really an instructional book, but it's a fantastic pattern book. So I'm going to show you a few patterns in here. Some I love, some I'm like, no. So the first one is that I like is called Niagara. And the thing I like about this is that the lace comes to a point on the top of the foot. I really like that. Really, 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 really cute. So that's called Niagara. That's on my short list of socks that I want to make. They'd be cast on already if I had more needles. This next one is a sock that I really don't think I'll ever make. It's knit sideways and, well, I'll just let it speak for itself. No. If you want a knitting challenge, if you like challenges, I think this would be really challenging. I really don't see myself ever making this. It's a good pattern for variegated yarn, I'll say that. And probably you might want to wear these in the summer. They remind me of cheese. So that would be a no for me. Those are called Monterey, but you know, everybody's different. Next we have Hydrangea, which is what I showed you. I like the yarn that they used for that too. I think I've actually knit these socks once before now that I think about it. Or did I just start them and not finish them? I'm going to have to go look. Anyway, and then next we have Hypnosis. I love these. I really, really want to make these. So, that would be really good with a variegated yarn for sure. The next one I love, and I definitely want to make these too in the very, very colors that they used. Migration is what that one's called. The next one is a no. Again, it's called April Fools. They're knit sideways. They're evidently illusion knitting. They're knit sideways. It says the sock is knit flat and grafted together into a tube and then fitted with an afterthought heel and toe. No. Again, if you are a very adventurous sock knitter, this would be perfect. But no, I probably won't be making those. And then lastly, I love these also, Koi. Very, very cute. So, those are some of these socks. I didn't even show all of them to you. The Eclectic Soul by Janelle Laidman. I love this book. I highly recommend it. Again, I would consider that a book for an intermediate, not a beginner sock knitter. Okay, what I am watching and reading. I am currently about to blow my nose. Again, sorry. Sorry, people. Okay. I am still working my way through Star Trek the Original Series again, and I am on season 2, and I wanted to show you the shawl that I have behind me. This is the Citron, which I believe is also on Knitty.com. I could be wrong about that, but I think this is on, don't hold me to that, but this is, I'm pretty sure, a free pattern. It's called Citron. It's a half circular, half pie shawl, really, sort of. I don't know if it follows the exact math of a half pie shawl, but I blocked it with points at the tip because I really like that. And I don't have blocking wares. So there you go. You get what you get. This yarn is Desert Vista Dye Works in one of her gradient lace weight colorways. I don't remember what the colorway is. It's winter or something or other, but I love it. Love. And I knit this. The reason I'm showing it now is I knit this during my first time through, about a year and a half ago maybe, when I was watching Star Trek the original series the first time. And I call this Sunset with Captain Kirk. So that's why I'm showing it now, because it's been on my mind. And I knew I needed to reblock it, so I reblocked it a few days ago. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. And I probably won't get it back on the back of the chair easily, so I'm just going to fold it and put it back there, so it can still be admired. Yeah, I love it. Okay. So that's what I'm watching and reading. Really sad. Actually, I have been watching other things, but like, stuff on the History Channel, Science Channel, stuff like that. Nothing mentionable. Upcoming knit crochet alongs and events. Tour de Fleece starts next Saturday, June 29th. I am going to try really hard to do daily podcasts. I dyed 16 ounces of pink and 16 ounces of aqua colored BFL to make a sweater. I think that if I do something lacy and I get enough yardage, I should be able to use just the aqua colored. And then maybe do a second sweater with the pink, but we'll have to see. They do go together if I need to have like a contrasting, or like a, not a contrasting color, but like, maybe I just need an accent color. So I'm just going to play that by ear. When I do spin for Tour de Fleece, though, I'm going to do an ounce a day towards my sweater. And then also spin other things, so that when I do my recordings every day, it's not going to be boring and just seeing aqua colored spinning every day. Because I have a lot of other various little bits and bobs of fiber that I can spin in between, like on my drop spindles and stuff like that. So I will have a lot of variety to show you. I have a feeling my sock knitting is going to slow down during Tour de Fleece, but that's okay. September, October, November, I am having a hat, scarf, and mitten drive for Penilla's Hope, any age, any gender. You can start making them now, but don't send them to me till September, please. But they can be knit or crocheted. And then also September, October, November is the knit along for the Bee Leaf Half Pie Shawl, which is my design. And it's a lace weight shawl. Okay, stash enhancement. As I mentioned earlier, I do love the Daleks. And my sweet friend Denise from the Knitting Den podcast has an Etsy shop. Hold on, let me wipe my nose one more time. I'm sorry. It's just itching. So, Denise has an Etsy shop called kikiboobags.etsy.com, and I had ordered this from me, but she sent it to me I had ordered this from her, but she sent it to me as a gift. She's going to be having in July a Christmas in July, and she's going to be having a Christmas in July knit along, but she's also going to be selling Christmas bags in her shop, and this is one she sent to me, and it is Daleks wearing Santa hats. I love it. I love it so much. And she's got her little tag on here, Kikaboo Bags. I like the fact that she put a strap on there. I really like that. And of course, we've got our pull ties. And yay, I can't wait to use it! This is going to Atlanta with me. Some of my socks, I'm not sure which ones. Sorry, people. Nose again. I'm not sure which ones, but some of my socks are going to be moved into this bag for the trip to Atlanta. Yay! I love it. So she also sent an adorable little card that says, knitting keeps us from unraveling. And that is very true. Very adorable. Oh, my nose. And then Kiki Boo Bags. This is her business card. It's sort of blurry, I'm sure, from the glare. But she sent me 2 things of stitch markers. And I'm going to keep the bottom ones, and the top ones I'm going to give away at our next fitness along. So in the drawing that I do for June at the beginning of July, this will be one of the prizes for our fitness along. Actually, it's going to be for the poster along, fitness poster along, not the fitness along, the fitness poster along. And I'm going to keep the ones on the bottom because they're really pretty. So yay, thank you, Denise. So she sells bags and stitch markers in her shop, and that's kikiboobags.etsy.com. And I love it. Okay, favorite things. Favorite things this week has to do with flamingos. I know, you're shocked, right? Okay, so I got this at Target a few years ago, and I have learned in my wisdom of many years that if you see something flamingo in a store and you like it, you better buy it because it's going to sell out. So I got this at Target many years ago, at least 7 or 8 years ago, and I don't think I've shown it on the podcast. If I have, I apologize, but you get to see it again. This is my cookie jar that's shaped like a flamingo, and it's got hibiscus flowers, which hibiscus and hydrangea are my two favorite flowers. They're both tied for first place. This reminds me of Busch Gardens so much because you got the tropical flowers with the adorable flamingo. I wish that this was full of cookies. I love it. It's adorable. So there's no manufacturer on it at the bottom, or I would tell you. But I got it from Target, and I love it. And I bought it the second I saw it. So I have it, right now it stays on the dining room table, but I think I'm going to move it in here so that I can see it more often and it has less chance of getting broken. Okay, so that is my favorite thing. Next, we're going to have a new segment called Ask Sock Bunny. And this is by Purple Polly Pocket, Nicola. And for this segment, you can ask me knitting questions or non-knitting questions. It could be a personal question, and if I feel comfortable answering it on here, I will. Sorry, nose. Anyway, she asked a really good question. She says, have you ever taught anyone to knit? Do you have any tips and tricks to share? For the summer holidays, I was thinking about teaching my daughter, but I'm not sure if my patience is up to the task. Well, that is actually a really good question. I've taught a few people to knit. None of them professionally, of course. I haven't charged for lessons or anything yet. Maybe someday. But I have learned a few things along the way. So I have a few tips. My first tip is I recommend not teaching them to cast on first. I know like people are like, okay, you have to learn how to cast on and then you can learn how to knit. I find that people get frustrated with that because casting on really is nothing like knitting. I think if you cast on for them and maybe even knit a few rows and then get them knitting, they get more comfortable with the yarn and how to handle and what stitches look like and so forth, and they get comfortable holding the yarn, and then once they're comfortable with that, then teach them how to cast on. That's my personal opinion, and I have found that actually works a lot better. The few people that I've tried to teach them how to cast on first have gotten frustrated, so that's my first tip. Second, use a saying, especially if it's a little kid. There are a lot of different sayings. The one that I know, I am so sorry about my nose today. It is driving me crazy. Use a saying. There's one that's called in through the front door, around through the back, out through the window, and off jumps Jack. So when you put your needle in, say in through the front door. When you wrap the yarn, say around through the back. When you pull the yarn through, say out through the window. And then when you're pulling the stitch off the left needle, say off jumps Jack. There are a lot of different sayings out there. You can Google knitting sayings and see if you find one that you like better. My next tip is use variegated yarn so that they can see the stitches, each individual stitch. If you find a highly variegated yarn that they really like, it is much easier because then they can see where each stitch starts and ends. It's easier to count rows. It's easier to count stitches across. Another tip. Have them count their stitches at the end of every row. I'm going to write that down. Because that's a good habit for a beginner knitter to get into, is to count their stitches at the end of every row so that they know they haven't made a mistake, and it's easier to find their mistake at the end of that row than to wait until they're 3 rows up and go, why do I have 26 stitches instead of 25? So it's easier if they count at the end of every row. I don't recommend starting with cotton or really bad acrylic. I mean, if it's a little kid and they're insisting that they have to have this camouflage yarn or they have to have this rainbow yarn or something, I say go for it. If they're an adult, have them start with a nicer yarn. It makes all the difference in the world. Um, Another thing, no matter how much they beg, and people will beg you, do not ever, ever, ever teach somebody to knit using fun fur. No, no, say no. It's impossible to teach somebody to knit with fun fur. You can't see your stitches. You can't tell if you've missed one. It's a lot of the fun fur has no give, and they'll end up knitting really tightly or something like that. Just don't do it. Just say no. Say, when you get a couple of projects under your belt, if you want to knit with fun fur, go for it. But I highly recommend don't start off with fun fur. Make sure that the needles that you have them knit with work well with the yarn. In other words, don't give them really slippery needles with really slippery yarn. That's just a recipe for disaster. I recommend starting with a wool acrylic blend and bamboo needles. That way the needles have a little bit of grab, and it's a wool acrylic blend, so it's going to have a little bit of give. Or, even just a wool blend or a wool acrylic blend or something like that. I usually start somebody on worsted weight, but it doesn't have to be. Some people, I know people that have learned to knit on, in fact, I learned to knit on I actually learned to knit on linen. Because my friend Annette, hi Annette if you're watching, when I asked her to teach me to knit, all she had with her was some linen yarn. And I had to learn how to knit. It didn't matter. So, but I would say that that's the exception. I would not teach somebody to knit with that. If it's somebody who's older and they're on the internet, give them a list of websites such as knittinghelp.com, some different YouTube videos that you have already pre-watched to make sure that they're good, and give them those links to take home with them, so when they're knitting at 10 o'clock at night and they get stuck, they can get help. Another thing is, tell them if you're teaching continental or English. I'm writing this down. Tell them which one you're teaching them, because when they go to Knitting Help, they have videos for the two different kinds, and you want them to be able to know which kind of video they need to be watching. Seriously, if my nose doesn't stop itching, I'm going to chop it right off. So tell them which one you're teaching them. Another thing is, if you're teaching them English and they're really struggling with it, try switching over to Continental and vice versa. Even though that might not be your preferred way, it might be a better way for them. And if you don't know how to knit Continental, this would be the perfect time to go over to Knitting Help and look with them and say, okay, let's try this other method and see if it works better for you. A lot of people just assume that if you have a history with crochet, that you're going to be better at Continental. That is not necessarily true. I have been crocheting since I was little, and I do better throwing. One, Continental aggravates my wrist, but also I like it better. So don't assume just because they have a crocheting background that they're going to like Continental. Be flexible as far as what kind of knitting you're going to teach them, especially if they're struggling with the first way you show them. Maybe show them a different way. I also recommend not showing them the purl stitch until they're comfortable with the knit stitch. I think that's about it. So I'm going to recap. Don't teach cast on first. Use a saying like in through the front door, blah, blah, blah. Use a highly variegated yarn. Don't start with cotton or really bad acrylic. No fun fur. Use the needles that correspond with the yarn correctly, not too slippery, not too small, not too big. Give them a list of websites for help. Have them count at the end of every row, and make sure you tell them if you're teaching them Continental or English. There you go. Those are my tips. I hope that helped, Nicola. If you have any questions or say you might have a tip that you think I should add to that, definitely let me know. Especially if you're an experienced knitting teacher. And of course, these are my experiences. You might be a professional teacher and disagree completely with me. And if you do, please feel free to let me know and let me know why. Okay, tips and tricks. Don't forget we have a thread in the Sock Bunny group where Paula PJ Crossan asked us to talk about the different types of needles that we like and why. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to talk about that next week. I'm going to talk today in my tips and tricks about how I am keeping these 9 pairs of socks organized because I have 9 pairs of socks on needles and that can get confusing. So I have a spiral notebook that I got at Walmart or Target or Staples or someplace like that. And each pair of socks has its own page. And so what I'm writing on here, and I'm showing you this one page because there's no chart on here. But if it's in a book, it has a chart. I actually drew the chart in the book, and I use this highlighter tape to mark which row I'm on. I think I can give you like a little sneak preview of what I'm talking about. Voila. Okay. You shouldn't be able to tell anything from that. So what I've written on here is up in the corner, I wrote pink Dalek bag because that's the bag that it's in. And also these are my time traveler socks. Also the date that I started, which I never filled in for this one. It's on Ravelry. And then also which needles I'm using. I'm using my Haya circulars. I cast on 64. And then I put ribbing equals blah blah blah. The cuff equals blah. Which row I put the waist yarn in on. How long I did the foot before I started the toe. How I picked up, like for example, when I do afterthought heels, if I have waist yarn in, I always pick up 2 extra stitches at the beginning of the row. So, okay, let me say it this way. Let's say my sock is 64 around and I have 2 needles and they're 32 each. So on the first needle, I will pick up 2 extra stitches from like the little area between the needles. Sort of hard to explain. I pick up 2 and then the 32 and then 2 extra needles at the end. And on the second needle, I do 2 and then 32 and then 2. So I made a note of that so I don't forget to do it on the second sock. And then I wrote, when I do the heel, I did 3 plain rows before I started the decreases when I was doing the afterthought heel. And then on the toe, I knit 1 plain row before I started the decreases when I went in and changed colors just to make it, more smooth when I did the color transition. So each sock that I'm working on has a different page. I did start off with sticky notes, just a sticky note for each one, but they lose their stick after a while, and also they're easier to get lost. So I am throwing that tip away. I mean, if you're not really moving around, like sometimes I did in the living or whatever, the sticky notes just weren't working for me. But that's another option. And also, I wrote a note of how long I did the foot before, from the heel to where I started the toe, was 4 7/8 inches. So, like, say I don't go to do that second sock for a month, I have all my notes here. So I can seamlessly go. So every single sock that I'm working on in here, I am doing a page like this. And like if it's a lace pattern, I've just got the lace pattern drawn in here and I'm circling the rows as I get to them. And that's it. So I'm just making detailed notes on each pair so that I don't get confused. Because believe me, unless you're doing 9 pairs of vanilla socks all the same, then you're going to need some sort of, unless you have a better brain than I do, which is totally possible. Okay, so that's my tip and trick for the week. I'm using a spiral notebook to keep track of all my socks. Okay, fitness. For fitness, in the Sock Bunny group, every month we have a fitness along. Any day that you work out at least 30 consecutive minutes, or if you're wearing a pedometer and it shows at least 10,000 steps, you can have 1 entry per person per day in that thread. At the beginning of the month, I choose a winner from the previous month, and the winner gets to choose either a $5 giftable pattern on Ravelry or some bare sock yarn or fiber that I will dye for you in up to 3 colors, or you can pick something that's already in the shop. We also have a poster along where you need to do your We need to post a picture of your fitness poster the first 7 days of the month, and then the first 7 days of the following month, you post your finished fitness poster. And I'm making a note that I'm going to give away the stitch markers next month as part of the prize for that. And so we have a lot of people participating, and every month there are new people joining. So I really, really get excited by that, and it's very motivating to me to go in. This week I worked out zero. I am still really depressed, and although today I could tell I feel a little bit better, so please let me be on the upswing from this, because I don't want to be depressed when I go to Atlanta in a week and get to see my daughter. Um, so I didn't work out at all this week. Starting tomorrow, though, I'm going to make myself go. Even if I don't want to go, I'm going to make myself go. I need to go to spin class at least a few times this week, because the following week I won't be able to, and I don't want to go that long, because then if I miss spin class for more than a week, I almost have to start over when I start again, because you lose that much of your stamina. So I am still losing weight. I'm still tracking my food. I am, in fact, tracking my food. I was doing Weight Watchers, which was a really good kickstart, and I learned a lot about portion control, but I've switched over to using a free site called MyFitnessPal, and they have an app on the phone. And to be honest, I like their app better than the Weight Watchers app. Sorry, Weight Watchers. It's free. And really, the main difference is Weight Watchers uses points, which is easier to memorize. I could tell you a lot of different foods what their point values are, but I haven't memorized any calorie values for things yet. Um, so if it's something that you want to be able to learn easier, I recommend Weight Watchers. But if you want something that's free, and in my opinion, the website is better and the app is better, then MyFitnessPal, in my opinion, is better. Um, so that's it for fitness. Let's see. I think that's it. Don't forget to, in closing, don't forget to post your workouts in the workout thread. Don't forget to knit socks for Sockstravaganza. Don't forget to post your opinion in the what kind of needles do you like discussion in the Sock Bunny group. And also don't forget to ask a question in the Ask Sock Bunny thread. That's it. I hope I didn't throw you too much by doing things in a different order. I just thought it would be fun to spice things up. I am Kimberly, also known as Sock Bunny. I hope you have a great week and keep on crafting. Bye!